Here now to assess today's move to invest in updating or modernizing NORAD, retired General Tom Lawson. He served as Chief of Defense Staff from 2012 to 2015 and previously served as Deputy Commander of NORAD. General Lawson is with us here in Ottawa. General, good to have you back on the program as always. Let me start off where Murray just left off, if you don't mind, and just on the possibility of a threat. Now that we have what we have seen play out in Ukraine play out, how much more, I guess, prescient or how much more significant is what we do with NORAD given the nature overall of the threat?
Yeah, it's a very good point that Murray makes and that you're pointing to, and that is that for a long time, government planners and defense observers have been aware that the NORAD systems have been falling further and further behind in their capability to survey properly, but the urgency wasn't there. I mean, you know, just a couple of decades ago, it looked like Russia was turning into a democracy and China would be a great friend instead of a competitor. Now the urgency is there, and Putin has shown that he's increasingly unlimited by any international norms. So I don't think it's as much an issue of Canada being attacked in the same way that Ukraine is being attacked, as it is a more strategic issue, and that is that there's been a balance, a very odd balance throughout the world amongst nations that have nuclear missiles that has been achieved by an awareness that if anybody uses them and they're well detected in time, they will find a flurry of those missiles going back the other way. Well, as soon as a nation out there achieves an ability perhaps to execute a surprise attack with nuclear missiles that move at hypersonic speeds, well, now, if NORAD no longer has a system of surveillance that allows us to react in time, is there a chance that a leader like Putin might consider an attack? And that becomes increasingly likely. Of course, it's up to the governments to keep people safe, whether or not they know they're threatened. And we start to hear a reinvestment that will go some distance towards that.
Let me ask you about the scale of that, because unfortunately, as I mentioned to Murray, I don't have a backgrounder with all the details about where this money is going. We do have some broad strokes as painted out by the minister. Let me start with the price tag, about $5 billion. Does that sound in the neighborhood of something that will make a tangible impact, or is it too little? What is your perspective on that?
Well, observers have long thought that to bring the surveillance system, including radar systems, an upgrade of these 40-year-old radar systems up the level to fold in space technology and then wrap that whole system around to the Pacific and Atlantic, where subs could attack with missiles from, would be upwards of $11 billion. And Canada normally pays about 40% of NORAD costs. So that tracks. That would mean that if within the next 5 or 6 years, Canada puts in that much and the United States will announce their 60% portion, then I think we've got a system that now cannot be disregarded by those who may choose to use these kind of systems against North America.
And when you think about where, I guess, the money is best placed to go, in kind of layman's terms, what are the most important? I guess it's replacing that warning system, obviously, but is there something in addition to that?
Yes, there is. Certainly, it is an ability to detect threats, whether there are ground-based or air-based launched ICBMs, hypersonic or sub-based launched anything. You need to be able to structure a multi-layer system around the world. And there are a couple of specifics that the minister pointed at. She's pointed to some very classified systems that we're going to be part of. And I thought that specific was an important one because it suggests that Canada and the United States have now spoken recently about the exchange of intelligence at the highest levels. And Canada has been feeling more and more left out of this Five Eyes that we've heard about for many years, UK, US, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada, kind of been turning towards a Three Eyes thing, UK, US, and Australia. We've been left out. And I think it's been indicative of a growing impatience with Canada being a bit of a freeloader. That indication itself that Canada will be sharing in this highly classified system with the United States suggests that we're being let back into those rooms.
And is that Let me ask you kind of bluntly, is the freeloader characterization, because you're not the first to say it, even in conversations I've had behind the scenes, for example, with American officials, that is certainly a worry or a concern that has been shared with me, and I'm sure with many others. Is that purely based on the level of spending? And look, when you kind of get characterized as something like that, how difficult is it? Like, how many more days like today do you need to kind of climb your way out of that?
Well, right. So, look, Canada really has been a very good partner to NATO. NORAD has been hanging behind for a little while, but we've always been there. And certainly the F-35 buy is going to bolster that relationship. And for years and years, certainly when I was deputy commander down in NORAD, we relied on almost unlimited patience from the Americans. They knew we weren't putting nearly close to the share of the GDP that they were putting into their defense. But we're great friends, and it's an undefended border, and great feeling. That all started to disappear with President Trump's arrival, and we were called out not only by the president, by Navarro and various other members of his bureaucracy and team. And that impatience hasn't gone away, but it really does signal something. And that is that our world partners are aware that Canada does take a deep discount on defense. Listen, to a certain extent, Canada will. We are, if not the most unthreatened nation in the world, we're one of the most unthreatened right where we live. However, we're part of very important alliances, and we've fallen far behind where we should be. So I think today what the government did was they found a clever way to invest in defense, but invest in a place where Canadians mostly will find it more palatable. If we put more money directly into our ability to respond to our NATO responsibilities, there's more debate. I mean, a lot of that stuff's happening over there. Not how I feel, but how a lot of Canadians will feel. But when you put it into the defense of Canadian and American sovereignty, now you speak to all Canadians. So this $6 billion very specifically placed the capabilities that are going to bolster Canadian defense industry and Canadian capabilities and our ability to survey the Arctic. You're speaking to Canadians.
Okay. Thanks very much, General Lawson. Always a pleasure to get your insights.
Thanks for having me.
That's retired General Tom Lawson, former Chief of Defense Staff here in Canada. General Lawson is also a consultant for several aerospace and security firms, including Lockheed Martin Canada. Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.